So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We want to welcome you all once again to Jacob Frantz's Bar Mitzvah, and we're looking forward to celebrating with Jacob and his entire family here. So we gather together with all of you and all of your friends. We're going to be doing 3 services together over the course of today. We're going to begin with the Mitzvah service, the afternoon service, and that's the service where most of the action will take place. That's where Jacob's going to be leading services, reading Torah and Haftorah, and reading and sharing his Devar Torah as well as speech with us, his thoughts about the Torah reading. After we conclude the afternoon service, we'll have a chance to present Jacob with some gifts, and then we'll continue on with the Mariv service, the evening service, and finally conclude tonight with Havdalah, the service of separation from the holiness of Shabbat, the rest of the week. We're going to be using this Sidur, this prayer book, Blueye, which I believe you received a PDF of before the service today, along with the link. So when I'm calling pages for the service, that's what we're going to be doing, straight out of there. And right now, Jacob looks ready to go. So we're going to start our Mincha service, afternoon service, on page 214, as Jacob begins to lead us to Ashrei. Go ahead, Jacob.
Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yehallelucha selah. Ashrei ha'am shekachalo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Elohav. Tehillah leDavid.
Continue privately.
Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi, v'yivarecho basar shem kodesh le'olam va'ed. V'anachnu nevarech Yah, me'ata v'ad olam, hallelujah.
Page 216.
Uva l'tzion goel, u'shafei fesha b'Yaakov ne'um Adonai.
I invite you on the bottom of page 216 to read with me the last few lines of the English. Adonai, God of our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, impress this always upon your people and direct their hearts toward you. God, who is compassionate, will forgive sin and not bring destruction. For again and again, God acts with restraint. You, Adonai, are kind and forgiving, loving to all who call upon you. Your righteousness is everlasting, your Torah is truth. You will keep faith with Jacob and compassionate to Abraham, fulfilling the promise you made to our ancestors. Praise is Adonai, the God of our deliverance, who sustains us day after day. At the top of page 217.
Adonai Hoshea, Hamelch Ya'anenu B'Yom Kor'enu.
Join together singing with Jacob, the 4th line from the top of page 217, Baruch Hu Elohim.
Baruch Eloheinu shebra'anu likvodo, Baruch Eloheinu shebra'anu likvodo, Baruch Eloheinu shebra'anu likvodo, likvodo. V'hivdi lanu min hatoim, v'hivdi lanu min hatoim, v'hivdi lanu min hatoim, min hatoim. V'natan lanu Torat emet, v'natan lanu Torat emet, V'natan lanu Torat emet, Torat emet. V'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, V'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, V'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, b'tochenu. ויפתחו בך יהודי שמך, כי לא עזבת דורשך אדוני. אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה וידיר.
חצי קדיש.
יתקדש ויתקדש, שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קרתי, בהמליך מלכותי. בחייכון ובימיכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלות לזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה ברכו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה, ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Now arrived at the Torah service, which Jacob will bring us in. But before he does that, I want to invite up Jacob's grandmother, Rosalba Nevoa, and also his aunt, Rosalba Davis, who will stand with him and recite a bracha, recite a blessing for him as he prepares to lead us in the Torah service.
I guess so, yeah. You have to be.
May you live to see your word fulfilled. May your destiny be for wars still to come. May you trust in generations past and yet to be. May you live to see your word fulfilled.
May your eyes shine with the light of holy words, and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom, your fulfillment be in justice. Even as you ever yearn to listen to the words of the holy ancient one of old, may you live to see your world fulfilled.
You all say amen. Thank you very much for joining us, joining Jacob for that bracha, for that prayer. And now we're going to invite up Jacob's parents, Greg and Sonia, his siblings, Raquel and Jordana and Jonah, to join him up on the bima, to join him up by the microphone as we prepare to take the Torah out to be read. And Jacob's going to start us with the Torah service, Seder Hatzat Torah, the service for taking the Torah out, page 218 at the top of the page.
ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך ענני באמת ישעך.
We rise as we invite Sonia to take the tallis off of the Torah. And Jacob continues.
ויהי בנצר אהרון ויאמר משה קומה אדוני ויפוצו אויביך וינוסו משונאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה תורה ברוך שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
Now, Greg, I'll invite you to pick up the Torah. As Greg holds the Torah, Jacob will continue with Godly.
גדלו אדוני איתי ונרומם שמו יחדיו. You're supposed to bow.
read now, you can put the Torah down and you can take the cover off the Torah and prepare for the Torah reading, which we'll be doing in a few minutes, and everyone else may be seated. As the Torah is prepared to be read in the tent, I want to once again welcome everyone this afternoon and wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to be together for Shabbat, for a Simcha, for the joyous occasion of Jacob's Bar Mitzvah. The Torah portion that we're going to be reading today is Parshat Bo. We're in the midst of Shemot, the book of Exodus, the second book of the Torah, and this morning we began reading the story of the 10 plagues, and we read 7 of them this morning and this afternoon in Parshat Bo. There are 3 more of the plagues, so we'll not be reading all of those today. But something that is very interesting throughout the book of Shemot, throughout the book of Exodus, that gets emphasized in our Torah portion that we're going to be reading today is the dynamic between Moshe and Aaron, between Moses and his brother Aaron. And something that's interesting is throughout all of the plagues, God always says, "Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe." God only speaks to Moses. But something that happens in our parsha this week is suddenly God's going to start including Aaron. And the Torah is going to say, "Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe ve'el Aaron lemor." And God spoke to Moses and to Aaron. This makes commentaries wonderful. Why does God sometimes leave Moses out? Leave Aaron out? Why does God sometimes include both of them? And really, what is the relationship, and I don't mean that they're brothers, right? But what is the relationship in terms of the power structure of Israel between Moses and Aaron? Now, there's one midrash that is defensive that tries to explain this, and it's a bit defensive on Moses' part, as it seeks to emphasize Moses' superiority over Aaron. It points out that many more times in the Torah, God just speaks to Moses instead of to Moses and Aaron, and therefore, that must mean that Moses is the one who's really in charge, and Aaron's only included when Aaron needs to be included. Though this might not seem fair to Aaron, Moses is the one who God called out to at the burning bush. And so maybe there's something to this midrash, to this commentary, that really Moses is the one in charge. There's a second midrash, however, a second commentary, that contradicts this point. And it says, actually, if you look through the Torah carefully, sometimes God speaks to Moses and Aaron, sometimes God speaks to Aaron and Moshe. The Torah reverses the order. And therefore, this midrash says, this commentary says, that Moses and Aaron are actually on the same footing. They're actually equal in their leadership. But there's another commentary by the 19th century rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Berlin, also known as the Tziv, who was in Volozhin in Europe, who makes a wonderful observation that I think is important today as we think about Moses and Aaron. It's an interesting observation in general for leadership. That Tziv says is that God needed both Moses and Aaron in order to take the Israelites out of Egypt. God needed Moses because Moses grew up in the palace. Pharaoh would never have seen Aaron, someone who was a slave, part of the Israelite people. Pharaoh never would have given Aaron that audience. So Moses needed to be there because he could relate to Pharaoh. On the other hand, the Israelites would never have trusted just Moses. Moses, who grew up in the palace, Moses, who left the community, who is he? Why would they trust him? But Aaron is someone who grew up with them. Aaron is someone who was enslaved right next to them. Aaron is someone who they trusted. And therefore, the Tziv said, it's not about whether one is greater than the other. It's that both of them were needed in order to get the Israelites out of Egypt. Pharaoh would only speak to Moses. The Israelites would only trust Aaron. And it would take time for each of them, for the Israelites really, to trust Moses, which is something we know as we take a look at this story. I think this idea is an important one as we think about our own relationships in life. We know that there are some situations that are more comfortable with us than others, and therefore we can perhaps bring in other people and use our relationships in order to try and have positive outcomes. It's something that's a wonderful model, I think, that Aaron and Moses set in the Torah. A one that also helps us understand the story and their leadership throughout the book of Exodus and all the way through the end of the Torah when Moses' time as leader ends. And so now it's time for us to turn to the Torah reading of Parshat Bo, to begin that Torah reading. For the first Aliyah, we're going to invite up Jacob's grandparents, Stephen and Libby Frantz, and Greg and Sonia and Jacob and Jordan and Raquel and Jonah. You can head back to your seats for the moment. And Steve and Libby, we're going to invite you to come up. And the Torah reading is found in Exodus chapter 10, verse 1. I'll be reading the first Aliyah as Steve and Libby recite the brachot, recite the blessings, as we continue with the reading of Torah.
Do you know what we have to read?
One?
What do we read?
This. This.
Mm-hmm.
Should do that?
When do we read?
I think she just read it.
Do we go now? Okay. Baruch at
Adonai
Adonai
Eloheinu melech Baruch
Baruch Adonai Ham Varach.
That's the congregation.
Oh, okay. Now we read here. Baruch Adonai Ham Varach L'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Bolahem
Melech L'olam Asher B'cha Banu Mikol Hamim V'nan Lanu Torah Baruch Atah Adonai Nantin HaTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe Bo el Paro Ki ani ichbareti ati bo v'lev avadav lema shiti ototai ele b'kirbo uleman tisaper ozne bincha uven bincha
We have to read
et
here.
asher hitalalti b'mitzrayim ve'ototai asher samti bam midatem ki ani Adonai vayavo Moshe ve'Aaron el Paro vayomer elav v'amar Adonai Elohei ha'ivrim ad matai me'amta ve'anod Adonai shalach ami ve'ya'abduni ki ma'ein ata l'shalech et ami Hineni mevi machar arbed b'gulecha v'chisa et ein haaretz lo yuchal lirot et haaretz v'achal et yeter ha'pleita hanisher lachem min habarad v'achal et kol ha'etz v'samech lachem min hasadeh v'malu b'atecha v'batecha v'abadecha v'batecha mitzrayim Asher lo ra'u avotecha v'avot avotecha mi'o eotam al ha'adama ad hayom hazeh v'iten beitzeh me'im haro.
Do we read now?
Stephen, you can
Yeah.
read the blessing after now.
Okay,
Baruch
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torah
Tarat Emet
Iman
V'chayem Alam Natad B'Tachian Baruch Atah Adonai Natian HaTorah.
Amen.
We screwed it up.
Yeshua, Stephen Living for that first Aliyah. You can head back to your seats.
Thank you.
For the second Aliyah, we call upon Jacob's family, Greg and Sonia, along with Raquel, Jordan, and Jonah to come up. Jacob, you're going to be reading your Aliyah this time, your first Aliyah you're going to be reading this time, as we prepare to continue reading chapter 10, verse 7.
You could just move it a little bit.
Jacob, you could show them where to kiss. Keep your left hand. There you go.
I don't have a seat there.
Hold it with both hands, Jacob.
Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamirah Leolam
Vaed.
Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayomru avdei paro elav ad matai yihye zelanu lemokei shalach ata anashim vayavdu et Adonai Elohim pater teda ki avda mitraim vayushav et Moshe v'et Aharon al paro vayomer alehem l'chu ivdu et Adonai Elohim mivami hachochim Vayomer Moshe Vinarenu Vizkanenu Nelech Vivanenu Vivnotenu Vitornenu Vivkarenu Nelech Tichak Adonai Lanu Vayomer Alechem Yichichan Adonai Imachem Kasher Ashalachatchem Ve'etavchem Re'u Kira'a Neged Pnechem Lochan Lochanah Gvarim Ve'avdu Et Adonai כי אתה אתם מבקשים ויגרש אותם מאת פני פרעה.
Bar.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'haye olam
natan
betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshikos, Jacob, and Yeshikos to Greg and Sonia for having that aliyah. And now we get ready for the next aliyah, which will be Jacob's aliyah. Cantor Cohen will call Jacob up as a bar mitzvah. We'll do the brachot, the blessings, and read Torah as well. And Greg and Sonia, stay up there with Jacob too, because after that you're going to have a chance to speak with him and say some blessings over him as well. Cantor Cohen.
Jacob, why don't you put that paper to the right of the Torah? You don't need to be so far away. Right over there. But nice and close. Okay. Ya'amad, 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 Yaakov ben Getzel berut ahuma, Abachur bar mitzvah, Taliach matzir chazal.
Baruch Adonai Baruch
Baruch Adonai Baruch Eloheinu.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Elam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayomru Avdei Paro Elav Ad Matai Yihye Zelanu Lemokei Shalach Eta Anashim Vayavdu Et Adonai Elohim Pater Teda Ki Avda Mitraim Vayushav Et Moshe V'et Aharon al Paro Vayomer Alehem Lechu Ivdu Et Adonai Elohim Mivami Hachochim Vayomer Moshe Vinarenu Uvizkanenu Nelech Vivanenu Vivnetenu Vitonenu Vizkarenu Nelech Hichag Adonai Lanu Vayomer Alehem Ichichan Adonai Machem Ka'asher Ashalachatchem Ve'etavchem Re'u Kira'a Neged Pnechem Lochan Lechuna Hagvarim Ve'avdu Et Adonai כי אותה אתם מבקשים, ויגרש אותם מאת פני פרעה.
Which case roll that.
I need help holding this thing. Can you hold this? I can't Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. You can, roll up the Torah exactly like that. And Greg, we're going to invite you to say a few words to Jacob, and then Greg and Sonia also offer Jacob some blessings as well.
Now? Honored guests, on behalf of Sonia and me, a sincere thank you to everyone who has joined us today, either in person or via Zoom. We are honored that you are here with us to celebrate this important milestone in Jacob's life. Jacob, Mommy and I love you so much. We are so proud of you. You are a huge blessing in our lives, and it gives us great joy and nachas to watch you grow up. You are blessed with many gifts. Among them, you are handsome. A few years, ladies, watch out. You are athletic. Baseball and tennis are real strengths. You are highly intelligent, and that must have come from Mommy. And you are extremely intellectually curious. I've never seen a boy who reads so much and understands so much about the world. Once again, these weren't my traits, so you've already exceeded your father. But in all seriousness, these qualities are important blessings, but they are not in themselves sufficient for a meaningful life. Something more is needed, and that is why we are raising you in the Jewish tradition. It is a very rich tradition, dating back nearly 4,000 years, with much wisdom to offer. Most importantly, I want to talk to you today about three things. First, having a Jewish identity. Second, having a destination in life. And third, a roadmap for how to reach that destination. First, let's start with Jewish identity. Mommy and I want you to have a strong Jewish identity. We want you to understand the long history of the Jewish people and how you fit into that miraculous history. People who have a strong sense of who they are and understand where they come from tend to feel more secure in themselves. And people who are confident in themselves are in turn better equipped to go out into the world and connect authentically with others. You cannot truly understand others unless you truly understand yourself. A strong Jewish identity will ground you, will help you understand how you fit into the history of the Jewish people, and will help you live a meaningful life. I also want to talk to you about your Colombian background. As you know, Mommy was born in Colombia, was raised Catholic, and has now become a Jew by choice. Your diverse background, rather than serving as a source of confusion, can and should enrich your life. We want you to understand and take pride in your Colombian heritage, and we plan to visit the country soon. Colombia is an amazing country, and we're all going to learn so much when we visit. But don't think about your Colombian identity as being in any way in tension with your Jewish identity. Rather, think about it this way. Colombia is a Catholic country, but Catholicism, if you go back far enough, is originally derived from Judaism, and the two religions have much more in common than they do have differences. So in the end, everything is connected. You're a Jew, and your Jewish identity is enriched by your Colombian background, which if you go back far enough, is connected to Judaism. And besides, some of the greatest Jews in history, like King David, are descended from people who converted to Judaism. So as you go out into the world as a Jewish man, Mommy and I believe that your own diverse background provides the perfect model for how to live. Find connections and things that you have in common with others, while at the same time remaining firmly rooted in your Jewish identity. Next, I want to talk to you about a destination in life. Judaism emphasizes the value of strong families. In fact, Jews would not have survived for nearly 4,000 years without honoring and strengthening the institution of the family. So, what does this mean for you? What is the destination that we want you to reach? It's simple. We want you to grow up, get married, and raise a wonderful Jewish family of your own. Take it from me. Raising a family is not the easiest thing in the world to do. It's a lot of responsibility, and you constantly have to think about other people rather than just yourself. But in terms of leading a meaningful life, there's nothing more rewarding than raising a family of your own. Mommy and I fervently wish for you the blessing of a Jewish family of your own. And by so doing, you will take part in and perpetuate the history of the Jewish people. Finally, a roadmap for how to get there. What do I mean by that? Well, Judaism provides the roadmap. The Torah and the Jewish tradition in general provide instruction for ethical behavior and guidance on how to live. Like all Jews, you will have to struggle with precisely how to apply these ancient principles to your own modern life. But the basics are clear. Believe in God. Honor your mother and father. Do not lie. Do not steal. Do not worship false idols like fame or money. Do not covet what others have, so that you may be satisfied with what you have, and so on and so on. In short, following the Jewish tradition will help you behave like a mensch. And by acting like a mensch, you will build yourself up into the type of person who is able to attract and warrant the love and affection of a beautiful wife with whom you could build a Jewish family. Finally, in closing, I'd like to say a few words about the two people for whom you were named. First, you were named after your grandfather, Mommy's father, Jorge. The J in Jacob is for Jorge. Neither you nor I ever had the opportunity to meet Jorge, but let me share a little bit about him. Jorge came from a large Colombian family of 12 children. He left his home at the tender age of 13, the same age you are today, to set off on his own because he didn't want to spend his life working on the family farm. So from Jorge, we learn our first valuable lesson. It is important to have courage and set your own course in life, although Mommy and I would prefer if you wait till you're older than 13. Jacob, you are very independent by nature, and we have no doubt you'll have the courage to set your own course in life. But let us return to Jorge's story for a moment. While Jorge left his family and set out on his own when he was very young, ultimately his greatest satisfaction in life came when he married Grandma Rosie and started a family of his own. Mommy was their first child. In the end, Jorge's life centered around loving devotion to his wife and children. His greatest joy was spending time, whether it be playing tennis, soccer, or cycling, with his kids. And so from Jorge's life, the lesson is clear. While you must have courage to set your own course in life, at the end of the day, it all comes back to family. You were also named after your great-grandfather, my grandfather, Israel, better known as Izzy. As you know, Jacob in the Bible is given the name Israel. In some ways, Izzy's life paralleled that of Jorge in that both faced very difficult circumstances early in life, were separated from their families, and had to find the courage to set their own course in life. Like Jorge, Izzy came from a large family with many brothers and sisters. But tragically, all of Izzy's brothers and sisters were killed in the Holocaust, with the exception of one brother, Lazer. Today, we are honored to have with us Lazer's granddaughter, Moran, as well as the rest of her amazing family. Thank you for joining us. Let's go back to the story of Izzy and Lazer. Izzy and Lazer survived the Holocaust because when the Nazis came to their town, they were off fighting in the Polish army. After the war, they both returned to the family home and encountered each other, one brother greeting the other with a pistol because he was worried that he might be a Nazi at the door. Izzy and Laser immediately realized the terrible truth of what had happened to the rest of the family. They understood immediately that it was not safe to remain where they are. And so there they were, essentially on their own, in the desperate situation of being Jewish refugees without a country to call their own, just hoping to survive the aftermath of World War II. But survive they did. Ultimately, they made their way to a displaced persons camp. Izzy's dream was to move to Israel. But Laser went to Israel first and wrote Izzy a letter telling him, "Don't come. Things are not good here. Wait for a chance to get into America." And so Izzy, who was by now already married with a daughter, your grandma Libby, waited and eventually did make it into America. Laser got married and raised a Jewish family in Israel, while Izzy raised his Jewish family in America. And so here we are, more than 70 years later, the descendants of Izzy and Laser, present at the joyous occasion of your bar mitzvah. This is a testament to the importance of displaying courage in the face of life's difficulties, as well as the importance of family, Jewish identity, and Jewish continuity. When I was a kid, Izzy always drilled into me the importance of raising a Jewish family. Although I didn't fully appreciate his words at the time, as I look back upon them now as a grown man, I realize Izzy was exactly right. And so, to sum everything up, the lessons from the Jewish tradition and from the lives of your two namesakes are clear. First, have the courage to go out into the world and set your own course in life, no matter what the difficulties are. Second, as you go out into the world, always look for connections and things that you have in common with other people, while at the same time remaining firmly grounded in your Jewish identity. Third, remember that your ultimate destination in life is to create a beautiful Jewish family of your own. And finally, remember that the roadmap for how to get there is to follow the ethical teachings of the Torah and the Jewish tradition so that you will behave like a mensch. Jacob, you are well on your way to becoming a mensch. But now that you've become a man in the eyes of the Jewish faith, the focus must now be to improve yourself just a little bit every day so that you can grow into what I call a full-blown super mensch. Mommy and I have no doubt that you will do just that. We are so proud of you and love you so much. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov.
Thank you, Greg. Beautiful words. And now I'll invite you and Sonia to say those blessings that Sonia has right there. Over to you.
Jacob. So Baruch Shebtarani. Baruch Shebtarani Meonsho Shel Zeh. Blessed be God who has increased our joy, allowing our son to take upon himself the blessings of Torah and mitzvot.
You do the second.
Blessing at the bottom too.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechiyanu v'kiyimanu v'hi bazman hazeh.
Now Cantor Cohn will recite a Mishabeach for Jacob, and those who are in the tent, you can get ready to shower him with some candy. If you have them at home, you can throw some candy at your screen as well. In celebration. Cantor Cohn.
הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרנו בחיינו, יכונן לסיפור להיות שלם עם אדוני אלוהיו, להגות בתורתו, נזכת בדרכיו, לשמור מצוותיו, ישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשי הדת, יהי רצון שזכורה וגדול, תורה ופעל מעשים טובים, Yisrael v'sechel tov v'ne'elokim ba'adam v'nomar amen. May God have blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Bless Jacob Frantz, who has been called to the Torah upon reaching the age of Mitzvah, with reverence for God, the Torah, and Shabbat. May the Holy One protect and sustain him, helping him to be wholehearted in his faith, to study Torah and fulfill Mitzvah, and to walk in God's ways. May his parents rear him to maturity, guiding him to a love of Torah, to the Chuppah, and a life of good deeds. May he find favor before God and the community, and let us say, Amen. Cinnamon top, apple top, apple top, cinnamon top, cinnamon top, apple top, apple top, cinnamon top, cinnamon top, apple top, apple top, cinnamon top.
So you can get that tallis back on and get ready to give your Devar Torah and your Haftorah. And Greg and Sonia will ask that you wrap up the Torah at this point while Kendra Cohn sings. Now we're going to turn back to Jacob. As Greg and Sonia, you both can have a seat. And Jacob's now going to share with us some thoughts in his Torah reading from his Devar Torah, and after that he's going to continue with the Haftorah. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Let my people go. This is one of the most familiar phrases from the Torah. God tells Moshe to say it to Pharaoh over and over again as he tries to get the Israelites out of Egypt. Let my people go has become a rallying cry for many oppressed people over the course of history. But as I was studying my Parsha, I noticed that this phrase is actually misleading. Moshe does repeatedly demand that Pharaoh let my people go, but there is another Hebrew word that always comes next, Vaya Avduni, so that they may worship me. So what God is really telling Moshe to say to Pharaoh is let my people go so that they may worship me. How does including this last word change the meaning of this famous phrase? I think that this means that after the Jews are freed, they can't do whatever they want. They have a mission, and that mission is to worship God, receive the Torah, do mitzvah, and go to Israel. And Jews today still need to continue doing those things. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs talks about the difference between freedom from and freedom to. He says freedom from means that you have freedom from oppression. This is the let my people go freedom. Freedom to means that you have freedom to do something. This is the let my people go so that they may worship me freedom. I can relate this to me because becoming a bar mitzvah and a man means I have responsibilities like doing more mitzvot. I am not free to do whatever I want, but to continue the Jewish people's mission. I can start doing mitzvot today by helping Book Smiles. I chose Book Smiles as my project because I love reading and I want other people to have the same opportunities. And the book from which I read today, the Torah, is the holiest book of all. As a Jewish man, I also need to strictly follow the 10 Commandments. The commandment, you shall remember and keep the Sabbath day holy, is on how we should follow the rules of Shabbat. When these rules were written, there were no cars, devices, and electricity. Shabbat was a break from the work and a day of rest. Nowadays, it is probably more work to walk rather than drive, or use candles rather than lights. I believe that on Shabbat you should try to take a break from devices and all that, but most importantly, you should try to connect with God. Whether that be going to synagogue, doing good deeds, or just spending time with your family. Obviously, this is ironic because right now we are on Zoom during Shabbat. But you need to weigh the pros and cons, and in my opinion, it is okay to use Zoom if you're using it to attend a bar mitzvah or do something else that helps us connect with God. I can relate this back to the Parsha because on Shabbat you are not free to do whatever you want, but you are free from your usual busy life. This means that you are free to connect with God. I would like to try to follow this commandment better, and in the end, it's up to you how you want to follow Shabbat. For me, Shabbat is a day of a break from devices, school, work, and my usual life. Instead, I focused on other things like playing outside and enjoying nature, reading, spending time with my family. In this way, I recharge my spirit and connect with God. Now that I am a man in the eyes of the Jewish faith, these values are even more important to me, and I will try harder to observe Shabbat in this way. And finally, I will say my thank yous. Thank you to Morasu and Cantor Cohen for teaching me everything I needed to know. Thank you to Rabbi Pelt for helping me with my Devar Torah. Thank you to all my teachers at KBA who made doing my bar mitzvah much easier for me. Thank you to my mom and my dad for everything you've done for me. Thank you to my siblings Raquel, Jordana, and Jonah for always being there for me. Thank you to Grandma Rosie, Grandma Bibi, and Grandpa Steve for loving and supporting me. And finally, thank you to all my family and friends for joining me today to celebrate my bar mitzvah. My Haftorah is on page 395 in the Eitz Chaim Chumash.
Jacob, and now Jacob's going to continue with his Haftorah, beginning with the blessings before the Haftorah.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Binvi'im Tovim V'Ratza B'Divrehem HaNe'emarim Be'emet Baruch Atah Adonai HaBocher B'Torah Uv'Moshe Avdo Uv'Yisrael Amo Uv'Invi'ei HaEmet V'Tzedek Hadavar asher diber Adonai el Yirmiyahu hanavi lava Nebuchadnezzar melech Bavel lehakot et eretz Mitzrayim hagidu v'Mitzrayim v'hashmi'u v'midol v'hashmi'u v'nof uftaf panches imru hityatzev v'hachein lach kiacha Cherev tzvivecha, madua nischaf abirecha, lo amad ki Adonai hadafa, hirba koshel, gam nafal ish el re'ehu, vayemeru kuma v'nashuva el amenu ve'el eret moladetenu mipnei cherev hayonah, karu sham Paro melech Mitzrayim Sha'on Ha'avir HaMoed Chai Ani Na'um HaMelech Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Ki Ketavor Beharim Ucharmel Bayam Yavo Klei Gola Asilach Yoshevet Bat Mitzrayim Ki Nov Lo Shama Tihiyeh V'nitzta Me'en Yoshev Egla Yefefiyah Mitzrayim Keret Mitzafon Bava Gam Schlirecha V'kirba Ke'eglei Marbek Higam Hema Hifnu Nasu Yachtav Lo Amadu Ki Yom Edan Ba Alehem Epikudatam Kola Kanachash Yelech Kivecha yelechu uvkardumot va'ula kechotfei etzim kartu yara ne'um Adonai ki לא יחקר, כי רבו מהרבה, ואין להם מספר. הובישה בת מצרים ניתנה ביד עם צפון. אמר אדוני צבאות אלוהי ישראל, הנני פוקד אל עמון מינו, ועל פרעה ועל מצרים, ועל אלוהיך ועל מלאכיך, ועל פרעה ועל הבוטחים בו. ונתתים ביד מבקשי נפשם, וביד נבוכדנצר מלך בבל, וביד עבדיו. אחרי כן תשכון כמי קדם נאום אדוני. אתה אל תירא עבדי יעקב, ואל תחת ישראל, כי הנני מושיעך מרחוק, ואת זרעך מארץ שבים. ושב יעקב ושקט ושאנן ואין מחריד. אתה אל תירא עבדי יעקב נאום אדוני, כי איתך אני, כי אעשך לה בכל הגויים אשר הדחתיך שמה, ואותך לא אעשך לה, ויסרתיך למשפט, ונקה לא אנקך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות. האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך אחור לא ישוב ריקם. כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני. האל הנאמן בכל דבריו. רחם על ציון כי היא בית חיינו, ולעולבת נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני. משמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו בליהו הנביא עבדך, ובמלכות בית דוד משיחך. במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסא לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו את אחרים את כבודו. כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני. מגן דוד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני. מקדש השבת.
Amen.
Asher Koach, Jacob, for those words of Torah and that beautiful Haftarah. Now we're going to keep you working as we're going to turn back in our Siddur, back in our prayer book to page 221. I'll invite your family, some of your Greg and your siblings to come up with you as well as we begin the end of the Torah service at the top of page 221. Hallelujah.
Hallelu et Shem Adonai, ki nishkav shemo levado.
Join together in to sing the 8th 9P on page 222, 3 lines at the top of the page.
עץ חיים היא, לא מחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר. דרכיה דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Now everyone can have a seat, except for Jacob, of course, as Jacob's going to continue to lead us in Chatzi Kaddish in the middle of page 222.
יקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קרתי, והמליך מלכותי, וחייכונו וימיכונו וחיידךו בית ישראל, והגלה בזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקדושה ברכו, לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, לאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
We rise as we turn to page 223 and join together with Jacob at the beginning of the Mitzvah Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, El Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Kol Melech Hasadim Tovim, ve'Koneh HaKol, ve'Zocher Chastei Avot, u'Mevi Golel Lifnei B'neichem, L'man Shemo B'Yava, Melech Ozer Ufoked u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avram ufoked Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayim metim atah Rav le'Oshia, Mashiv haruach u'marid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayim metim b'rachabim rabim, Somech noflim v'rafech cholim u'matir asurim, Umkayem emunato l'shenei afar, Michamocha bar givaro u'mido melach, Melech memint umchaye u'matzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hametim.
Page 225.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו לשני מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר.
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך על הארץ כבודו.
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך על הארץ כבודו. לאומתם ברוך יאמרו. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור. ימוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור הללויה. לדור ודור נגיגו לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתם נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue the Amidah privately from page 226 through page 229. continue on page 230 with Kaddish Shalom.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה קרתי ומלכמכותי, וחייכו נבימכו נבחיידכו בית ישראל, בגלל בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי דקדושה. ברכו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותיכון ובעלותיכון, דכל ישראל, קודם אבוהון, דיבי שמעיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמעיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום בין רמיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
We invite out Jordana, Raquel, and Jonah to join Jacob up on the bima as they will help him lead Aleinu on page 231. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבת אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Shkoch to Jordana and Raquel, Jonah, of course Jacob, as you all can have a seat. Everyone may be seated as we turn to page 232. Invite all those who appear in mourning of the Yorkshites to rise as we say the words of mourners' Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shmei Rabbah, Ve'alma, Yibra, Kirutei, Ve'amlich Machutei, Ve'chayechon, Ve'omechon, Ve'chayei, Dechol Beit Yisrael, Va'agava, Bizman, Kariv, Yibru, Amen. Yehei, Shmei Rabbah, Mevorach, Ve'alam, Yitbarach, Vishtabach, Vipahar, Vitromam, Vitnaseh, Vithadar, Vitdaleh, Vithalal, Shemei Kedusha, Richo, Ve'ela, Mikol, Verchata, V'shirata, Tushvachata, V'nechamata, Damiran, Ve'alma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Romam, Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru. May be seated. That concludes the Mitzvah service, the afternoon service, and Jacob, now we're going to present you with some gifts. So you're in the right spot right there, and I think I see to your left some of the gifts that we're going to present you with. Just want to wish you first of all, Yasher Koach and the Mazel Tov. You did a really beautiful job leading us in Mincha and reading Torah and Haftorah and sharing words of Torah. And I know I speak for everybody here when we say how proud we are of you and the wonderful job you really did today. So some of those gifts that we have there, I'm going to ask you first to hold up. I see there's a blue wrapped gift right there. That gift, exactly, that actually, to root the surprise, is a Kiddush cup that comes from behalf of our board of directors, Sister Men's Club and Chazak Group at TBS. And just like you led Kiddush so beautifully for us last night at their services, we look forward to you using that at your Shabbat table going forward. And you spoke so beautifully about Shabbat as well in your Devar Torah. I think using that Kiddush cup will help you remind you of that for all the Shabbatot to come. Also there, we have for you a certificate of Bar Mitzvah, which is all, oh, sure, we can go to the t-shirt. Yeah, look at the t-shirt. That's a good one, too. Yeah, good. Let's do the t-shirt. So the t-shirt is for our Hamakom High School program at TBS, a program that you've just begun this year. And we look forward to continuing to learn with you as you continue to understand your Jewish history and your tradition and Jewish roots, and think about your place in all of that. We hope you wear that proudly to many Hamakom events and just around the neighborhood too. And then we also have that certificate I was talking about before. You actually have two certificates there. One of them is that bigger one is a Mizrach, which means east, which is the way in which we face towards Jerusalem. And that is not only a certificate of Bar Mitzvah, it also is a scholarship from the Erna and Bernie Amalek Youth Israel Scholarship Fund that you can use in 10th grade when we travel to Israel, their confirmation class Israel trip. We're looking forward to that. And also, I believe there too is another certificate on behalf of Calvin Brown Academy in recognition of your years at KBA and the wonderful foundation of Jewish learning you got there. And it's my pleasure to present that on behalf of KBA as well. So Jacob, go back to the podium right there. So, listen, your dad said it all. I'm not sure. He really beautifully encapsulated, I think, your family story, which of course is your story, and the importance now of you as a Bar Mitzvah, picking up that mantle and moving forward. And as he was talking, I was reminded of another namesake of yours, that he spoke about the meaning behind your names. But of course, your Hebrew name, Yaakov, or Jacob, also is a biblical namesake of Yaakov that comes in the Torah, in the book of Genesis, who we read about, and it says Yaakov is an Ish Tam Yoshevo Halid. He's a kind man, a kind person who sits in tents, which the Midrash says, the commentary says, means that he liked to study, and that he was a bright young man as he was growing up. And it strikes me, Jacob, that there's also a connection between your Hebrew namesake, Yaakov, and you as well. As you're someone who is a kind young man, you're somebody who is smart, you're somebody who, as you demonstrated today, really is able to lead our services and read Torah, and to take that responsibility as a Jewish adult in our community. And I'd say the other relationship, or connection, I should say, to Jacob, to Yaakov, and the Torah that I see, is that Jacob is also well known for his journeys, right? He does a lot of traveling over the course of the Torah. And, you know, we first met a number of years ago when your mom came in to talk to me about conversion and about becoming Jewish. And that was a journey that we started together a number of years ago that I remember speaking to your parents about and being on that journey with them and with you and your siblings as well. And it is so wonderful now to see where that journey has led all of you and your family. It has led you here right now to this moment of your Bar Mitzvah. Jacob, we very much look forward to continuing on that road to becoming a mensch, to building on the mensch that you already are, and continuing to learn and grow and to do what you can to do your part, help keeping our Jewish people strong, the state of Israel strong, continuing to also bring more goodness into the world. That's something that we're very much looking forward to, Jacob. And to help you do that, we have a bracha, a blessing, that expresses our hopes and our dreams for you. As your parents, please join you on the bima. Once everyone, please rise as the cantor cone will join me here on the Zoom screen. And just like your high me, blessing for you. So when you grab, you can come up and stand next to Jacob. bless you and watch over you. May God cause His face to shine upon you, illuminating your life with all that is good. Jacob, Yaakov, may God lift His face to you today and every day. Be good to you, be kind to you, and be gracious to you. And bless you with the most important bracha of all, the blessing of Shalom. Peace in a world of peace, that is our prayer. And we all say, Amen.
Amen.
Mazel tov. You may kiss your parents. So Jacob, we'll let you take a little break. You've been working pretty hard up here, so we'll let you take a little break as we move into the Mariv service, the evening service that Kendra Kona is going to lead for us. It begins on page 264 in our Sidurim, in our prayer books, and I'll put that up on the screen as well. We rise for Baruch. Baruch Hanam Baruch Le'olam Bo'ed. You may be seated as we continue privately. Try together for the Shema. Continue at the first red arrow on page 267. continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 269. Turn to page 270 and rise as we prepare to recite the private Amidah. Begins on page 270, concludes on page 278. We're guided by the words on the page, plus the words in our hearts. Continue on page 280 with Kaddish Shalom. Turn to page 281 for Aleinu. Ask everyone to please rise, and invite Greg and Sonia too to get the Havdalah things ready and together, because we're going to do Havdalah shortly. Invite all those who are reciting Mourner's Kaddish to remain standing, while else may be seated as we continue with the words of the Kaddish on page 282. Yikadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabba, Be'alma, Dibra, Kirutei, Yamlich Malchutei, Chayechon, Yomechon, Chayei, L'chol Beit Yisrael, Ha'agala, Lizman, Karim, Hebrew, Amen. Yehei, Shmei Rabba, Mevorach, Le'olam, Omeil Mayah. Barach, Bishtabach, Bihar, Bikamam, Binaseh, Bihadar, Bidaled, Bitalal, Shmei Brisha, Brichut, Be'elam, Yimkol, Bechata, Beshirata, Tushbechata, Benechamata, Damiran, Ze'ama, Bihru, Amen. Yehei, Shlama, Rabba, Min Shemaya, B'chaim, Aleinu, Ka'al Israel, Bihru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimramav, Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Israel, Hebrew. Amen. And then we speak for blessing and we be seated. We're just about ready to do Havdalah, service of separation between Shabbat and the rest of the week. Before we do that, I just want to once again say a big Yasher Koach and Mazel Tov to Jacob for doing a wonderful job this evening, and to his parents, to Greg and to Sonia. Mazel Tov to them, and to Jordana, Raquel, Jonah as well, and also Jacob, to your grandparents too, to Steve and Libby, to Rosalba, and to all of your family and friends who have joined us today, either in the tent or virtually. It's wonderful to be celebrating with you. So we're ready to do Havdalah, the service of separation. I see we have all the Havdalah materials there ready to go. Cantor Cohn's going to get us started with Havdalah, then Jacob's going to pick up with the blessings. Sonia, you can light the candle. As we're going to begin, we invite everyone to please rise.
Adonai tzivot imam yiskablan Elohim kosecha. Adonai tzivot asher b'choteach bach. Adonai Oshia melech yankim liyum korinu. Hayudim haykaru v'simcha v'sason v'yikar et yadanu. V'sishvot esel v'shem Adonai ekar. Jacob, Sabri Chaverai.
Sabri Chaverai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei minei v'samim, borei minei v'samim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei meorei ha'esh, borei meorei ha'esh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, ben or lechoshech, ben Yisrael le'amim, ben yom hashvi'i le'sheshet yemei hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua Tov. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera Yameinu, Yavo Aleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
Blueye Tov, Mazel Tov.
Mazel
And,
Tov.
we want to invite everyone to stay on. We're talking about Jacob's journey here. We're going to have a montage of that shown in a moment. So I ask everyone to please hang on for a few moments, and then the montage will begin. Mazel Tov, everyone. Mazel Tov. Yay.
Welcome anybody who wants to unmute themselves and say something to Jacob. Please do so. Thank you so much for being here in person and online. We are all very special to our family.
Mazel tov, Jacob. Good job. Sounded like a real mensch.
Mazel tov, Jacob, to the Frantz family.
Hi, Susan.
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Mia, say hi.
Good job, Jacob.
Thanks, Uncle Michael.
Mazel tov, Jacob.
Thank you.
Well done, Jacob. Very nice. Mazel tov from the Sorotas.
Thank you, Sorotas. We miss you.
We miss you too.
Good job, Jacob. Wexler. Mazel tov from the shoulders.
Thank you.
That was beautiful, Jacob. Congratulations from the best of.
Thank you.
Can the family that's sitting
you.
at the surface come into the camera so we can see you all and say Mazel tov? Come on up to the bima. Libby, Steve, I want to say hello.
Hi, Susan.
Who else is there?
Steve is here.
Jordana.
Good job, Jacob.
Thank you, Aunt
That's Kimberly and Michael. See, they're over there. Yeah. See. After we- This
Gracias,
Michael
Juan
and Kimberly in the
Carlos.
corner.
Mazel tov, Yaakov.
Toda rabah, Moriela. Toda rabah, Moriela.
Daryl Lerner's there too. Look. Let me see his
Are you
name.
in a tent without any heat?
Yes. Freezing.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madrina. Gracias, Madrina.
We should go in.
Hello, Yardena Verachel.
What was
Say
that?
shalom. Americ shalom.
Hello. Shavua tov.
Shavua tov.
Great. So fantastic. Mazel tov, Jacob.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
and
Thank
Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Mazel tov from the Gorenfeld guys. Beautiful job.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much,
very
Howie.
much,
Hey,
Howie.
Howie.
Thank you, Howie.
Hello, Howie.
Hi, Susan.
It's Susan Carton.
Yeah. Hey, Michael. Hi.
Hi, Susan.
It's Steve, Libby, and Rosie. Congratulations. Mazel tov.
Thank you. We love it.
Thank you.
Hey, Nancy. Are you Nancy? Is that Nancy London over there? Say hello.
Nancy London.
Maybe a different Nancy.
No, there's not Nancy London. Is there?
Maybe it's Nancy Sunrise.
Nancy at the bottom.
Is that Nancy
Thank you to
Senner?
Damascus for watching our dog.
Look at that.
Viviana.
Yeah.
Carolina.
Oh,
Who?
hola Maria. We have family from Colombia.
Oh, they're
zooming
in there? You could see them? Yeah.
They're there, but you can't see them.
No los veo. No los
Yeah, I
veo.
see names without
An
pictures too.
international celebration.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Hi, Jeannie. Hola, Claudia. Hola, Mariana. Gracias.
Yes, I guess.
Say hi to Isaac. Muchas gracias, Erika, ¿no? Gracias. Say hi to Isaac.
Congratulations from Lynn and Mel. Great job.
Thanks, Lynn and
Thank
Mel.
you.
Say hi to Isaac. Hi, Isaac.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi, Simi. Hi, Isaac.
That big D.
You did such a fantastic job, Jacob. It was a beautiful ceremony. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being with us. You were at our wedding 14 years ago, so it's special.
Who's speaking that?
That's
Sonia?
Simi. That was my bridesmaid.
Oh.
Mariana.
Yeah, Mariana in Texas.
Felicitaciones, Jacob. Saludos desde Texas.
Diga gracias.
Congratulations.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Muchos saludos, abrazos.
Igualmente.
Oh, it's Eva.
Ya está María.
Oh, ahí está María.
Sí, ahí está María.
Gracias, Juan Carlos y Adriana, por estar con nosotros. Y Santi, qué lindo que está. Gracias a todos.
Who is here from Israel?
I don't,
Who's actually watching from Israel? Anybody?
I don't think so. I think it's too late.
That's what I was thinking. But what
Yeah.
time is it in Colombia?
It's the same time.
Same
Oh,
time,
okay.
yeah.
La misma hora.
Yeah,
La misma hora.
Okay.
yeah. Israel's 7 hours ahead, I think, 6 or 7. So, yeah.
Susan Parton.
Yeah, it's the middle of the night.
Did you realize that's Susan Parton?
There's Eva. Thank you, everyone. You're with us in our hearts if you're not here physically with us today.
You did a fabulous job.
And
It's amazing.
it made the celebration so much more special for you all to be zooming in with us. Thank you so much.
As well as you did.
I'm glad we can help because you did such a great job.
Jacob did all the hard work. It was easy on our. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, María.
Bye.
Viviana.
Shavua tov.
Amelia. Juan Carlos.
Bye.
Shalom, Oriela.
Gracias, gracias.
Adiós.
Gracias.
Adiós, María. Adiós, Erika. Bye, Santi. Gracias. Gracias. I know. Yeah.
Jacob.